Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I am filming for you my autumn book haul. So rather than doing a monthly book haul, I tend to do them quarterly. So you may have seen I did a summer book haul about 3 months ago, and so now it's time for my autumn book haul. Hi, just a brief interjection from future Kerry here to say I did film this right at the beginning of December and just have not had a chance to edit or post it yet, so none of the books I received in December, whether from Secret Santas or Christmas presents or other things, are in this video. They'll be coming in my next haul, which I think will probably be beginning of March. So just to avoid any confusion, this is books I received up to the beginning of December and not anything I've received since. Today I'm doing my autumn book haul, so this is all the books I've bought between September and December. It's 1st of December today when I'm filming this. So it's books I bought over the last 3 months. They're not actually just all books I've been bought, there's a few books that I've been given as well. So I've split them into categories. I'm going to start with books I've been given. So most of these books I think are ones I haven't mentioned before on my channel. Some of them I may have, but I try not to mention in book hauls books that I've already talked about elsewhere, so you won't see any of like the regular book club books. But they're generally books that I haven't already talked about. Some of them might be. So the first, I'm going to start with books that I was given. So actually I know the first two of these I have already mentioned. In fact, I might have already mentioned all of these depending on when I post this in relation to other videos that I'm posting. But the first two I want to mention because they were just I'm still very excited about them. So the first book I'm going to mention is my first ever proof copy I've received, which is called The Wolves of Leninsky Prospekt by Sarah Armstrong. This is published by Sandstone Press, who are a great little small press in the UK. This is set in Moscow in 1973. It's about the Cold War. It just sounds really, really good, so I'm really excited to read this. This is released in January maybe or February next year, so I'm gonna read this and do a review of it before the release date. So I'm very excited to read this and let you know what I think. The other book that I've definitely mentioned before is another one that was sent to me. So this one was sent to me for review by the publishers. I was also sent a book by an author who's self-published called Cruel Reality by C.J. Whitley. So he contacted me after seeing a review of a book that's a similar genre on my channel and asked would I like to review this, so he sent it to me for free in exchange for a review. So again, I've not got around to reading this yet, but I'm quite excited too. It's sort of dystopian theme, has I think, well, all it says on the back is, taken from their lives, their jobs and their families, men, women and children must learn a new way of life, fight or die, there is nowhere to run. So it's got some sort of tribal Hunger Games style concept to it to an extent, but I'm going to try not to go into it thinking about the Hunger Games because I don't think that would be fair. That's what I've looked at a couple of reviews on Goodreads and that's sort of the vibe I get about it, but I am quite excited to read this, and again I will be reviewing it because the author was so kind to send me a copy in exchange for a review. So that's that one. And the other two books I've been given recently, again I can't remember if I mentioned them or not, but I was given a book for my birthday by my parents. This is called Treveryan by Angela du Maurier. So my favourite author of all time is Daphne du Maurier, and my parents were on holiday in Cornwall and discovered that she had a sister, Angela, who is also an author but is less famous than her sister and I think somewhat less prolific. So I'm really excited to read her book. I don't know very much about what it's about, but yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that. And then the final book that I've been given recently, I won a pre-order on a Twitter giveaway, and this is Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. So this is, I think, fantasy based on Middle Eastern mythology, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but this is Tasha Suri, it's her debut novel, and I follow her on Twitter and I've been really looking forward to reading this. So I'm going to try and get to this one soon as well. I was very grateful to receive this on a giveaway. So that's all the books I've been given. The next category I'm going to talk about are ones that I bought in relation to a class that I'm doing at the moment. So I've been going along to an evening class. I've mentioned a couple of times I think in videos. This is actually a theology class. So you may remember that my master's is in theology, so you may be asking why does she want to do more theology classes? And actually for me there are two reasons. Partly it was to try and meet some new people in my area, because while I love my church, there's not very many people my age in it. So this is actually hosted at a different church in my area, and I thought it would be a good way to make some new friends, and it has been, which is awesome. There's 2 parts to the class group, I don't know what you want to call it. So the second part is the theology lectures, which were filmed at a university in London, and they've been sent to us to watch. And so some of that is very similar to what I did on my MA, but some of it is new to me, which is really cool. But the other part, the first part of the evening, is for people who are considering or thinking about working for the church in the future, capital C church, and what that might look like. And so there's a lot of sort of reflecting on what it means to work for the church. We've been using a book called Listening to Your Life, so it's a lot of self-reflection and thinking about your character and your strengths and weaknesses, and essentially what we as individuals feel that God is saying to us about our lives and our vocations. So I bought a number of books in relation to that, because any excuse really. Yeah, some of them are more linked to the vocation stuff, and some are more linked to the theology stuff, and some of them are from the reading list, and some that we were given, and some have been specifically mentioned in some of the lectures. So the first thing I picked up for that, I treated myself, it's quite heavy, because I just, I can't help myself sometimes. I treated myself to a new Bible, which is a study Bible, so it's got lots of notes at the bottom, and it is the New Revised Standard Version, which is not a translation I've used very much before, and it also has the Apocrypha in it, which again is not something, I've not had a Bible with the Apocrypha in it before. Not this one particularly, but the NRSV with Apocrypha was recommended in one of the lectures as sort of a good theological, like a good translation for theological study. And I'm really interested to learn more about the Apocrypha, because that's not something I've really learnt very much about, and how that fits in to the context of the Bible and helps to understand the sort of the narrative of the whole of the book as a whole. So that was that one. I also have bought a couple of books by Henri Nouwen. One of my favourite ever quotes is from Henri Nouwen. I don't know if I'm even saying his name right. So he said, "In order to love others, we must first know ourselves to be truly loved," which is based on something that Jesus says in the Bible, which is, "Love others as you love yourselves." But then I realised that I'd never actually read any of his books, and so I thought I better correct that. So I picked up a couple of his books. I think one of them definitely was on the reading list, and the other one I don't think was, but it just sounded interesting. So there's one called In the Name of Jesus, Reflections on Christian Leadership. So this one I think was on the reading list. And then the other one's called Life of the Beloved. So this is, I think, meant to be one of his famous books. So I'm really keen to read both of these as soon as possible. And then the next one I have is called Christ and Culture. So this one was mentioned in a lecture as sort of a classic on the relationship between Christianity and the culture that we exist in. And this is a second-hand copy. It's a bit beat up, but I quite like it. So yeah, this one was recommended in a lecture, so I've got that to read. And this one was on the reading list, so this is called Liquid Church, and it's about thinking about are there new ways that we could do church? Are there different ways that we could do church? And this one was recommended specifically to me, so yeah, that's another one that I'm keen to check out. I also bought 2 other sort of theology related books, but not directly linked to the course. So I was asked to preach in my church a couple of weeks ago on one of the letters of John in the Bible, and I realised I didn't know very much about them, so I picked up a commentary on the letters of John by John Stott. So John Stott is quite a famous theologian. At some point I will type up my notes from my sermon on my blog, so if you're interested in that, go and look at my blog at some point in the near future, because I will put my notes up on there. And then the other book I actually bought right at the start of this period, so I actually ordered it at the end of August, but it hadn't arrived when I filmed my summer haul, and it's called Disappointment with God by Philip Yancey. And I bought this, if you follow my channel, you will have seen him, I think in my August or September live update, I can't remember which, that I'd gone for a job that I really wanted and I didn't get it, and I had really bad flu and I was feeling really down, and I thought this book might make me feel better, so I ordered it, and then by the time it arrived I'd actually got over myself and was already feeling better. But it's still one that I want to read because life is full of ups and downs, and it's very easy to slip into blaming God for our problems, and I've heard really good things about this book. Yeah, so this is one I'm not sure how soon I'll read it, but probably next time I have a major slump in my life. Yeah. So the next category of books are all Agatha Christie. One of my favourite booktubers to watch is Mara from Books Like Woe. She's a very prolific reader. She reads a heck of a lot. One of the reasons that I started watching her channel regularly was in the summer she was doing something called Project Poirot, where she was trying to read every Poirot novel by Agatha Christie in order, and it looked like a lot of fun, but I started watching it halfway through the series, like halfway through when she was reading them or towards the end, and I don't own all the Poirot books, so I didn't join in, although I have read some of them. And then she announced that she was going to be doing a similar thing for all the Marple books called Mission Marple, which is going to be starting at the end of January, I think. There are fewer Marple books than Poirot. I think there are about 50 Poirot books. There are about a dozen Marple books. So I thought, you know what, I might actually join in with that. So I thought I had more Marple books than I actually did when I looked on my shelves. So I just had a moment. It was around the time I had my wisdom teeth out and I was feeling particularly weak and unwise, so I just went online and ordered all the Marple books that I didn't have. Yeah, so the next set of books are all Marple stories. So the first one I did have, and I read it and I didn't keep it, and I wish I had now, but then my copy was really tatty and this is a slightly nicer edition. So the first one, this is The Body in the Library. So I have actually read this one before. I think it's the second Marple book, I can't remember. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to rereading that one and hearing what Mara has to say about it. And then that's the only Marple book I've read before, so all the rest of these I haven't read it before. I did already own a couple as well, which are upstairs, but these are the ones that I was missing. So we've got The 13 Problems, Miss Marple's Final Cases, which I think is short stories and is the last one in the series. According to the back of this book, actually, there are 14 Marple specific books. So that's that one. And then 450 from Paddington. And then to save myself a little bit of money, I did actually buy some omnibus editions. So I've got these two collections, both have 4 stories in them. The problem that I have with these editions is that they're not in order, which is quite annoying really, but it was just to save myself some money, so it was much cheaper to buy these 2 omnibus editions than buy all the individual ones. So at some point I will exchange these for single volume ones. So we've got volume 2 here, which I think actually was brand new but was very cheap. So this has a Caribbean mystery, a pocket full of rye, the mirror cracked from side to side, and they do it with mirrors on, which are respectively numbers 10, 7, 9 and 6 in the chronology. So as you can tell, that's going to be very annoying when I come to actually read those ones. And then this is volume 3 of the omnibus, which has got Nemesis, Sleeping Murder at Bertram's Hotel and Murder at the Vicarage. So I do already own Nemesis as an individual copy, but it was cheaper to buy this omnibus, even though it duplicates one, than to buy the 3 individual ones that I didn't already have. So Sleeping Murder is number 13 in the series. Oh, Nemesis is number 12. Sleeping Murder is number 13. At Bertram's Hotel is number 11, and Murder at the Vicarage is number 1. So again, why they have not published these actually in chronological order, I fail to understand. But as I say, much cheaper than buying each book individually. So I'm all set to join in Mission Marple, which is very exciting. So I am looking forward to that very much. That's starting in January. So this last set of books are just random ones that I've bought that I haven't mentioned yet, and they are in no particular order. So the first one is actually our December Ninja Book Club pick, which I don't think I've mentioned yet on my channel. So this is Mr. Dickens and His Carol by Samantha Silva. So it's a lovely Christmas themed book based around Charles Dickens and the Writing of a Christmas Carol, so I'll probably end up reading this for my Christmas readathon. And this is the last Ninja Book Club book for a little while. They're having a break from running the book club for about 6 months. Yes, I'm really looking forward to reading this one and feeling all Christmassy. I also picked up a couple of sort of children's books, picture books, so I realised I didn't actually own a copy of Winnie the Pooh. I already had The House at Pooh Corner, but I didn't have Winnie the Pooh, so I picked up this one so that I've now got a set. This actually is an almost matching edition to my copy of House at Pooh Corner as well. I got the second hand on A-Books, so it's a really lovely edition with all the colour illustrations in as well. It's great to have a copy of this again, and I also treated myself to another Christmassy one. This is Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. So every year he wrote to his children as if he was Father Christmas, and I bought this specifically for my Christmas readathon, but I don't know if I'll include it with that or I'll just read it for fun anyway around Christmas to get myself in the Christmas spirit. So there's that one. And then the next one's a sort of continuing series. So I read a couple of months ago, I read Illuminae, and so I've bought Gemina to carry on that series. I loved Illuminae. I haven't quite got round to Gemina yet, but I'm really keen to, and I just love the format. These are told in mixed media format, so that's really cleverly put together, so really excited to get onto that one. And then I recently discovered Laini Taylor as an author. I read Strange the Dreamer, and I had Daughter of Smoke and Bone out from the library. I read that in October and loved it, and rather than waiting to get the rest of the series from the library, I thought these are books that I'm definitely going to want to reread in the future. So I ended up buying myself a box set of the trilogy. I haven't got around to reading any more yet because I read Muse of Nightmares in November, which is a sequel to Strange the Dreamer, and I was very selective about which editions I wanted because it was cheaper to buy the box set, but there were some covers that I didn't particularly like, but I managed to get the covers that I did like. So that one's got the door on it for Daughter of Smoke and Bone. There's Days of Blood and Starlight and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. So these have got really good, beautiful covers that I like, as opposed to some of the other covers that I saw out there that I didn't like. So the final book that I'm going to talk about on this haul is one I actually didn't buy this year. It's a bit of a funny story, really. So back when I was writing my master's dissertation, I would set myself rewards for reaching certain goals, and around the time a great little UK independent publisher called Dead Ink were running a crowdfunding campaign to publish the next 5 novels on their list. My reward one day for hitting a writing target was that I allowed myself to pre-order one of the books on their crowdfunding campaign. So this was sort of July, August of last year, of 2017. So I did that and then very much forgot that I had. And then a couple of months later I realised I hadn't heard anything, and I was like, oh, I should probably find out what happened about that book that I crowdfunded for, because I knew that it had been successful because the money had been taken, and then I forgot all about it again. And then at the start of this year, sort of around spring of this year, they sent out an email to everyone saying a couple of books that they published last year had been so much more popular than they imagined. So because they're quite a small company, a lot of their press time, printing press time that is, was taken up with publishing more copies of the books that had done really well, which meant they'd had to put their pre-orders on the back burner. And so I thought, oh, that's fine, like they're aware, they know that, you know, I've supported this book and that's fine. And I forgot all about it again. I couldn't even remember actually which book it was I'd supported. I thought I knew, but I wasn't entirely sure. And then about a week ago, I came home to find a parcel on my doorstep, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And I opened it up, and it was the book that I pre-ordered. So this is called The Unauthorised Biography of Ezra Maz by Daniel James. Yeah, so I've been waiting for like nearly 18 months for this book, so I'm really, really excited to finally have it. As I say, I'd actually kind of forgotten what it was I'd pre-ordered. This book is about a reclusive artist who disappeared about 7 years ago. His family and friends are about to announce his death, because if someone disappears without a trace, then they're not considered legally dead until 7 years later. And a journalist is employed to try and find out more about Ezra Maz, because he was a recluse, and so no one knew very much about him, and he finds himself drawn into a web of mystery, and it sounds amazing. And another reason I think why I picked this book is because Much like the Illuminae files, it's told in a mixed media format, so you get interviews and reports and case notes, extracts and that sort of thing. So I think I love it when people are experimental with format, so I'm quite looking forward to reading this. And another good thing about this book is because I was involved in crowdfunding it, my name is listed at the back as one of the supporters. There I am. It's a really lovely feeling to know that I helped make this book possible, so I'm really excited to read it, and it is now available for sale on Dead Ink website as well, so if you're intrigued then go and check that out. So that is all the books that I have bought between September and December. I haven't actually counted how many that is. That's about 21 books, which is actually less than I thought. That's not including ones I was given, so that's slightly less than my previous haul, I think, so that's not actually too bad. But considering in that period I have probably not read 20 books, this is why I need to go on a book buying ban. So that will be enforced from January. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to reading all of these. I am actually intending to read all of these quite soon, really, so most of them anyway. I'm going to be thinking a lot about my massive TBR over the next month or so and come up with some New Year's resolution to help me tackle it a bit better. But that's all I have for you today, so please let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or if any of them sound interesting to you that you'd like to check out yourself. Please like this video if you liked it, please subscribe if you haven't, and connect with me on social media. Those links are always in the description. And that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!